Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NOLA Theater Talk. My name is Alan Smason. We broadcast on Monday nights, typically at 8 o'clock. These are the different spots you can see us. The NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, which is a membership-based group of over 600 people on Facebook, people who have something to do with the New Orleans theater community. Also on my own channel, or if you're on Facebook and don't want to become a member of any group or whatever, you can just join the Facebook stream as it's on theatercriticism.com's Facebook page, not the website theatercriticism.com, because that's another site. Again, to let you know, in case you want to leave a comment tonight, that's the link you need, facebook.com. I believe it's a backward slash. In any event, facebook.com/StreamYard. That allows your name to show up from Facebook through our platform, which is StreamYard, and allows StreamYard to know that you're okay and Facebook to know that it's been vetted and everything's cool. So we're starting off tonight with a very exciting half hour, and we're going to get right into it. Again, I'm bringing in a playwright as well as an actor, and I would dare say that in maybe in a previous life he also was an actor. So let's find out a little bit more about Anita Vatshell. Anita, thank you. Welcome for being with us tonight. And again, you're going to be talking about a very interesting new piece of theater, again, dealing with a very important topic, because very, if you will, topical. We have an election tomorrow that's going to be dealing with a lot of issues, and probably no more issue of greater import is that than dealing with women's reproductive rights and abortion and things of that sort. So whether you're pro-choice or whether you are pro-life, those questions are going to be answered, I guess, at the ballot box by how people vote, and also, I would assume, also in the judges' chambers as these things sort of play out. But for you and for your company that you have, and that's Malloy Legacy Productions, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So Malloy Legacy Productions is your entity that you've got, and again, you all are going to be presenting operating theater. And again, for those of you who don't know Anita by way of her work, was I correct in saying that maybe you'd been an actor at one point, or were you never on that side of the stage?
In high school, I mean, I perform a little bit now. I am a member of Aquamob, and so I do perform with them, usually in the water. This year I was actually on set, on stage.
So again, you're a director, and of course, many people may recall of your marriage, and I'm not quite sure how long you were married, but of course you were married to a very prominent director. He was in Montana. I don't know how many years, but Gregory.
28.
So again, and I'm assuming you must have probably met him there, huh?
I did. I attended every year. The Montana rep would have a writer's colony, a playwright colony. And I had started going to that with my interest in writing. And I met Greg, and we were together about 10 years, married for 5. And when he retired in 2018, he came down to New Orleans and was here full time.
Now again, I never did get the full story, and I'll get it from you before we get into your show. But since we're talking about Gregory, I will tell you, there were so many people who used to come up to me and say, "Alan, you need to meet Gregory Johnson." And I actually did get to see him and meet him at one of the earlier shows, and we never really did have an opportunity to do a lot of things before the COVID pandemic kind of set in.
Right.
Because but again, I want to get back to how it was he convinced you to move to New Orleans. That's another thing.
The other way around.
Oh, you were convinced him to come to New Orleans. So
I moved to New Orleans. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So now I understand a little bit better. I can definitely understand that. But anyway, he was so kind and he was so good as a director. When we had our I guess you might say our shut-in, our shuttered theaters being what they were, unavailable to actors and unavailable to be a source of entertainment for people who were looking for it during a time of isolation. We actually had Gregory helm the 3 John Bigenet plays of
Right.
Rising Water and Shotgun and Mold. He directed all 3 of them, and I'm so very proud to have been attached to those 3 projects. Of course, proud to have John on board, but Gregory was an essential portion of that formula of getting all those actors together and rehearsing with them, and really people didn't realize all that went on. It wasn't like a cold reading. We had rehearsed these things over and over again, and in many ways I was like the producer. So I was really very, very delighted to work with him closely like that. And again, we were all saddened when he passed. So again, we know that you're still in those early stages. I lost my mom last year. I know it takes a while, and you never really truly heal from the loss of a loved one like that. But I know that he would be very proud of you to be carrying on, and I think that's sort of what you're doing this for, isn't it? That's part of the Malloy legacy.
Yeah. So Greg produced under Malloy Productions. Malloy was his mother's maiden name, and so Malloy Productions was his production name. And when he passed, and I was thinking about bringing back operating theater, I decided it was going to be a Malloy legacy production. So I'm carrying on his tradition. And yes, I feel like he's been with me a lot during this process, because he always called me a scrappy theater maker. He had the benefit of a theater and staff and all of the bells and whistles that go along with a big theater, whereas I've done more of a DIY theater style. So I hear Greg in my voice or in my head a lot of the time, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the blessings that have come from people who've stepped up to be a part of this production and things that have fallen into place are because of him. But I'd like to also point out that I'm also working with a group of people who worked with Greg on one of his few live productions here in New Orleans, and that was with Dos Coyotes.
I remember it. Yeah.
Kurt Oprecht's show, and a lot of the people, Sergio Gonzalez-Pagan, Lori Dietrich, Erebos, they were all a part of that as well. And so I feel like a lot of us are actually bringing on the legacy.
And I should also mention that one of your producers is Todd Delmore, Lisa Delmore's brother, and of course, I was very pleased to know their mom as well on several occasions. Lisa's one of our preeminent playwrights, and again, Todd is married to Beth Barkley now, and they're I guess one of the more well-known married couples, from theater. So again, kudos to having Todd, on the producer side. Is he actually starring in this too? Is he doing anything as far as acting? Maybe a little bit too.
No, okay. Todd is cast in the show, and he's one of my favorite characters. He's bringing to life a character that on the page is not quite as glowing. He may even be a little bit of the bad guy in some ways, but Todd brings so many dimensions to his work, and it's just been a real thrill to be able to work on stage with him. I've been with him in different contexts, and in my nursing context, actually. So this is a real fun transition to have Todd on stage and also help co-producing. So you have a day job too, right? Yeah, I'm a hospice nurse.
Okay, well then, God bless you, because I went through that with my mom, and I was just on a Zoom call with a friend of mine who works with a national committee for Boy Scouts. His mom is on hospice now, and he had to get off the call because he had to attend to mom. So those things go on. So God bless all of you people in the hospice field. You really do an amazing journey of helping everybody along when they need it. And again, I appreciate the fact that you said earlier that operating theater you're bringing back. Does this mean this has been performed earlier sometime?
So what I mean specifically by that is I wrote it. I started it in 2018, so we still had the Gulf Coast Playwrights Group. At that time,
Right.
I was the regional rep for Dramatists Guild, and I had started this work out of a passion to try to bring reproductive health care, abortion care into a theater context. The first time that I got any positive responses out of that was when I made it a farce and a comedy.
Right. Well,
So-
again, it is a serious subject, obviously, and a subject that will, create passionate discussion on both sides. So the question, I guess, is when you decided to make it into a farce and really go out of bounds in certain ways from a straight discussion, where was the point where you said no, that's too much? Because as I appreciated the concept of this is that in order to achieve and I hate to say the word, to achieve an abortion, but in order to have a procedure done, that people have to go on a floating ship and in essence compete in a game show and fight or at least ward off attacks from abortion pirates and things of that sort. I guess the question is all of those characters and all of those different permutations, etc. Was there a point where you said no, we can't go that far, or were you just pretty game to pretty much anything?
Well, I took it a little farther when COVID hit. I was working in Ochsner, and I was part of the front lines during the COVID, the first and second and third surge. And what I did in that March of 2020, I participated in the Dramatists Guild had a end of play project. So while we were at home and we couldn't meet in person, we couldn't go to the theater, they had a project where the idea was you take a play out of the drawer, something you had started, and you finish that play within a month. So what I chose was operating theater, and to go into that and really bring it to its completion. I had a deadline in mind. I was going to submit it. I did submit it. It was not selected. But what happened in that month of doing the end of play project was it really sort of transitioned to more of a farce. It got a little crazier, and I'm sure it reflects the period of time that we were going through, all of us. Not just me personally, but the entire nation and world, of dealing with a COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
And
now, was this in 2020? Was this early in 2020 or? Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
March of
So
2020.
right when right when everything shut down. So,
Yeah.
well, in order to be able to survive the pandemic, many of us found out about wine. Tonight, I'm bringing in a little cognac, and one of the reasons is that coming up at 8:30, we're going to have the people who are for the Beauregard-Keys House dealing with the family line. But I always thought to myself, cognac was very much a French drink, so therefore I'm bringing that into the equation. I probably won't have any of this left by the end of the program, but I will tell you that that's why I chose that. Now I didn't know what you brought. I know you have a glass with some ice in it, but I don't know what else you got.
Well, it was a vodka I picked up that had some basil and lemon, which are my favorite flavor combinations.
That's good.
So I just thought that would be kind of a nice compliment. So cheers.
Well, congratulations. So, I'm awful glad that we can, share. And again, operating theater, let me go ahead and I know you have this I told you I needed to have one that was not so busy, but this is the one that I chose because it says operating theater by your name, by Anita Vatshell, and it says a reproductive farce about the future of abortion access. And up at the very top, you can see an ocean liner. So obviously that's part of where the operating theater would be taking place. But then you've got an actual operating theater where people are looking at surgery going on from above. And I guess a play on words, but also, linking the two together. So hopefully people can see that. And how long does the show run approximately? Have you timed it out?
It runs about 90 minutes.
It continuous. It doesn't no
intermission. And the whole concept actually of the neutral waters, which if you come to the show, you'll find out more details, but that did not originate at this time. It really was something that was done when women in Ireland were not able to access abortion care. And Rebecca Gompertz from the Netherlands brought a ship outside in the neutral waters. So when you're in the neutral waters, you actually don't have to align with the laws of that country. You actually, there's a neutral water area where wherever the ship originates from, you would relate to those laws. And so we use that concept.
The international boundaries of the country, I think in the United States, it usually only extends like 3 miles out, which always causes a problem when the other fishing boats come in, for instance, that want to fish in the Louisiana estuaries, et cetera, and becomes a bit of a problem. Maybe not the estuaries, but out in the Gulf, et cetera. So the Coast Guard is assigned to protect people for that. This doesn't have Coast Guard's participation, does it in any way?
Just pirates.
Yeah, just pirates. So again, you did provide me with a couple of photos that I got a chance to see. You're probably gonna have to tell me a little bit about.
So this is our protagonist, Hashtagany, and her mama, and they are kind of aghast at what's happening in the game shows, and this is their expression. So that's Rachel Nelson on the right and Amelia Lermand on the left, who are our mama and Hashtagany.
So not Antigone, but Hashtagany. Okay, all right, I got it.
Contestant number 1, and they interpret her as Hashtagany.
Okay.
Telling you, the COVID days got a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And again, this is another group shot. Now let me see who's in there. Todd's in there, huh? Anita at the bottom.
Yeah, we've got Todd Demore. So Todd is our father of the pregnancy.
On the left, yeah.
On the left, above him is Andrew Bagnato, and he is our advocate off the street who gets selected to be on the cruise. In the center, you have Hashtagany, Amelia, and Rachel next to her, and then Chen Pagan is our Jane. So we have Jane, who is our representative of the feminist first and second generation of women who worked so hard to create advocacy and access for this care. And then we have Donald Lewis
there at the bottom.
It is. It is.
Our good friend Donald. Now,
he's Judge Roy.
Donald and Jen were both, and Todd were, I think, to a certain extent. But I know Donald and Jen have been on the program before. Todd came in as a surprise visitor when Lisa was on my show. She didn't know about it, and he came in. You're surprised, but I don't have a surprise for you tonight. I'm just going to let you know, so you're off the hook. But Donald actually participated in Simpsons Pride, which was the world premiere that we did of a play that was done on this platform a little over a year ago. And we were very happy and proud to have that on, and he basically took on the title role of I'm trying to remember his first name. Was it Aldrich Simpson? But anyway, he was the husband to Wallace Simpson, who ended up having the affair with the King of England, David, as it were, and essentially his claim to fame was that he allowed that to happen knowingly. Anyway, it's another story. And then you've got one more. Now this is a little bit little controversial almost. Carnival with a K, not exactly. Obviously that brings up the whole idea of some other things. But anyway, so there you are. The Carnival.
So in the world of operating theater, and again with the references back to the pandemic, the cruise ships get sort of repurposed into these cruise lines that then provide healthcare. But the healthcare doesn't just stop with abortion care. It actually includes hospice and long-term COVID patients who have to be taken out to.
So COVID did creep its way into the.
Oh yeah.
Into the script as well. I'm very, very impressed that we still have COVID this long. This is supposed to take place in the future, though, isn't it?
Well, at that time, it was supposedly the future, and the reason I really pushed the production to happen right now was because of the leak of the Supreme Court papers that were indicating that Roe v. Wade was going to be overturned. So it became, to me, more essential that we have this kind of theater, performance, and political action combined, because now is the time when we need to be thinking about these things.
Anyway, we got one comment from Paul Werner, and Paul, I just remind everybody, if you want to see your name, all you have to do is go to that site first. I promise you they won't take any blood or anything, unnecessary medical procedures. And that we'll be able to see your name, Paul Werner, but we appreciate you letting us know who you are. Again, Paul has been, a long time participant in theater, and we're always glad to see him whenever he comes on, and we know he's always out there somewhere lurking, as it were, but being very supportive.
Paul has actually been very instrumental in helping me put this together. He's as part of the Dramatists Guild group that I was in for many years, and he was one of the first playwrights I met in town when I came here in 2014. I've known Paul and worked with him. I wrote an article about Paul for Dramatists Guild, but he's the guy that shows up. He's the supporter, and I have a really strong love of Paul, and the fact that he supports so much new work and so many playwrights and so much theater in this town.
Well, I can tell you that I go back with Paul myself. I was in high school when they did a production of Marat Sade, and he played Jean-Paul Marat. And I remember going there to review the show. One of my fellow students was in the play, and I'm not even sure whatever became of him. His name was Thomas Smothers. I remember the name. And he actually was in the show with Paul. I'm not quite sure what role he had, but in any event, it was a very, let's just say some of the actors, and in particular the actresses, were portraying members of this insane asylum, and some of them were a little bit more forward than I probably would have liked in terms of their acting. They sort of swarmed all over me and were kind of like, kind of getting a little close, invading my personal space, as it were. Remember, I'm a senior in high school, and I'm not at all prepared for it. So anyway, long and the short is, I remember going through that, and then of course I found out years later that was Paul in the bathtub with his hair behind, etc. That he had the wig or whatever he was wearing. So in any event, it was kind of fun. So let me see if I can give everybody some of the information, because we want to make sure that everybody knows where to see this. This is the brand new. I say brand new. This is the church that is being sort of repurposed for theater, right? And it's called the New Maroney Theater, and the address is 2301 Marais Street, Marais. So it's a beautiful theater. Kathy Randall's had her most recent production there, but it's going to be taking place on November the 10th, which is of course going to be Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I guess, huh? Is that right? The 12th?
No, just Thursday,
Friday, Saturday. Okay.
Saturday.
So the 12th. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. The 12th. And then the 17th, 18th, and 19th of the following week. So that's pretty much what you're going to do. And the show start at 8:00, but the doors will open at 7 p.m. Once again, the New Maroney Theater. And again, anybody needs to get more information. I'll try my best to put it up. Again,
it's on Eventbrite for operating theater. It's on a Facebook event site as well. But New Maroney Theater, if you look it up, will actually be part of Church of Arts and Sciences, which is their nonprofit arm. The other thing to know is that if you Google that address, it will put you at Spain and Marais Street, and you want to be at Mandeville and Marais Street. It is the big, beautiful church with the brass doors.
And they've got these almost like flying buttresses, I like to call them, where they have downspouts that are in the back. So again, that's fantastic work. Well, we're going to be getting our next group coming in just a little bit. I know that some of them are arriving now, but this particular show, Operating Theater, 2 weekends only. Tickets are what, $25? Is that about right? Yeah. Okay. Yep. And are you having any nights for industry people or? So
there will be rush tickets available. So if people want to come at 7:45, we're going to have a reduced rate for folks.
I got you. Yeah. All right. So and again, anybody need more information? Is there a website that they should go to, or just?
So yeah, really, we're pretty present on Facebook, the Eventbrite site, and also the New Maroney Theater Church of Arts and Sciences has information and links as well.
Okay. Well, I guess that's pretty much tells everything everybody needs to know. And again, you're co-directing this. Can you tell me a little bit about Lori Dietrich, who's your co-director, and how did you all decide to do this together?
Well, Laurie is, she's a fabulous performance artist. She has done pretty much all aspects. She's a writer, she's a director, she has done staging. Her husband, Eric Boss, is doing our video projection, and sound is through Sergio. When I thought about direction, I wanted to be more involved than just as the playwright in this particular circumstance, because it is a first production and because there's certain things that I wanted to have involvement with, but I am not a director, and I didn't have Greg. So I really felt it was important to have somebody strong who could really understand and complement the storyline, and I couldn't be more thrilled with everybody who's involved.
And this is your first production that you're doing with Malloy Legacy Productions. You think you'll be doing some other things, or anything that you anything that you can talk about, or in terms of existing works to be produced that you've already got?
Well, so some of the plays that Greg and I were planning to produce here, we had produced my play Front Street in Montana, and I also have a play called Rig to Flip that takes place on the river. So, yeah, I have lots of ideas, lots of plays.
Well, I'm going to try my best to see the show. Unfortunately, you open on Thursday, and I know I have a conflict on Thursday. I'm going to try to figure out a day. I'll email you as to when I can come. But I would like to see this. And again, whether you're on one side of the equation or the other, I think if you're like me, a lover of theater, you will enjoy seeing the work done, and you'll enjoy seeing the acting and all the direction that you put into this as well. And again, it's at the what they call the New Maroney Theater, 2301 Marais Street, not too far off of St. Claude. So anybody needs to know where to go, you'll probably figure it out by Googling, like you said. But again, I want to thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
And again, I appreciate you're holding down the first half of the show with me. And again, I wish you well, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. And again, that's the first half of the program. And by virtue of the fact that I've got a little logo to throw up, I'm going to pull out the goat. And Anita, I'll let you leave the room. I'll say goodnight, and we're going to bring in our other guests. Okay. So take care of yourself. And let's go ahead and bring in our Goat the Road Productions personnel. First off, we have Richon May Wallace, and let me make sure I've got everybody in here. Unfortunately, as I say, sometimes I have to have to do things on the fly. So here we go. So Richon, you are the co-director of this show,
Yes,
along with the
Chris
founding
Kamenstein.
member of Goat in the Road, Chris Kamenstein, right?
Yes,
And again, I know we have one of your actors coming in, and you've got quite a number of actors that are in this. Unfortunately, I have to say it is a Monday night, and the show is dark on Monday. And sometimes people who are working in theater like to have that Monday night dark to do some of the things that they want to do on their own. So I do
yes.
appreciate the fact that we could find one of your actors to be with us, and that's Dylan Hunter, who's here now. Dylan, welcome.
Yay!
Oh, I was muted. Hello.
Dylan, again, I'm delighted to have you as well as your director, Richon, co-directing this with Chris Kamenstein. But I'm going to try to hold up your program. This is the program, which looks like, if you will, almost like a broadsheet, from the Times. And we'll get to these little babies in a little bit too, about the card characters, etc. But this is a fabulous that you have this, because it looks so much like an old style newspaper, etc. And they've got all the names of the people who are in it. But I'm just going to read off. Annette is Alexandria Miles. Christine is April Louise. Des is Constance Thompson. Isaac is Casey Sims. Natalia is Grace Kennedy. Pascal, that's you. Teresa is Lisa Shattuck, and then Vincenzo is Joel Derby. So you've got essentially 8 people who are performing in the show, and they're at the Beauregard-Keys House. Now, again, the last time you did an immersive work like this was at the Gallier House, and that was for The Uninvited, which was a wonderful immersive work which told the story of essentially a confrontation between the White League and people who were of color, who were being threatened, etc., and the people who were in the house who were the Galliers, and that whole story was just so fascinating. And what's wonderful about your work in these historic houses is that not only do you find that niche where what happened in this house, actual historical events, but you allow the people to come into the particular house or wherever it is, the mansion, house, whatever you want to call it, and people are like virtual flies on the wall. They actually get to hear the conversations between the actors being said, and they're repeated in such a way that you can actually, if you miss it now, you can go back later, because you're not in the room now, but you can be in the room later and hear that conversation repeated. So you determine, as a person, as a visitor, as an audience member, where you want to be at a particular time, and it makes for fascinating viewing, and I'm sure is pretty much timed out to the second as to when certain things happen and how they happen, what triggers certain things. And so it's got to be an amazing thing. Now, how do you do that? Richon, how do you figure out the times and how? I mean, obviously, I know it is amazing. So tell me a little bit about your process. How did this happen before we get to the actual actors?
Okay, so the process, we of course we had to, first of all, we're developing and writing her from scratch. So there's a lead team, and we research, and we have lots of discussions and meetings, and we decide as a group what stories are resonating that we want to write about. Then once we start to pick those plots or those storylines, we'll bring the actors in, and that's how they begin to develop their characters as well.
So the actors actually do help with you in terms of the directing. In other words, my character maybe would say it this way, or in other words, would they incorporate some of the words?
Definitely,
yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
so they actually help in the creation of the character.
Yes, they came up with their occupation, their names, their backstories. They created the relationships. It's really a collaborative work, and we're just like molding it and shaping it all together and doing all of the like logistic stuff. But the actors are really talented, and they have an amazing chemistry with each other,
Right.
and they're able to build. That's why it's so grounded. The relationship work in this show is so grounded and rich and layered.
It really is incredible. And Dylan, going off of what you just said, what did you add to your character of Pascal that was, specific, that you thought was really essential to fleshing out that character?
Let's see. Well, I was originated by my good dear friend Ian Hoke, who actually was in the first round of workshops for this one. He originally played Pascal, and I was asked to step in for him as we worked into the show, this final cycle of the show. I would say I did a lot of accent work, learning about how Sicilian and Italian accents work, and listening a lot to people, to Sicilian immigrants from recordings, and really trying to encapsulate that and get it into my mouth and into my brain and in my body. I would say that was a big part of it, and some little turns of phrase and things like that sort of stuck with me. And then sort of, I feel like maybe I helped to robustify the character a little bit through some of that discovery.
And I should point out the fact that Ian was excused from the production because he was getting married, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Go on, get married.
so he and Ariadne, and Ariadne has been on the show. She did her for me Halloween about 2 years ago when we were in the midst of the pandemic. Did this wonderful tale that she did, a reading of an original work she did, and I thought it was fantastic. I hope that there's more of that to come out later on. But anyway, Ian and Ariadne, congratulations. But back to Pascal. Pascal has a very, very important role. I mean, they all have important roles, but Pascal's role in dealing with what goes on in the house, is a pivotal part of what happens at the if you will, denouement of the production. There's a lot that goes on that he reveals, and I'm not going to reveal this, but I he has a very important part in that, doesn't he, Richon?
That's right. We decided that he was going to reveal the biggest. Like, there's first of all, the night is about a beloved family member. It was a memorial for a beloved family member, and he was going to reveal something very important.
Right.
The way
and we won't tell more than that, but let's just say it's a very important part of what goes on. And again, I had been talking to somebody about the incredible costumes. Ellen Bull did the costumes on this, right?
That's right.
And now, did Ellen do the costuming on The Uninvited too?
That was Casey Thomasy.
Okay, I was wondering who did that, because in both cases the costuming was fantastic. They're both accurate to the period, and I just thought they did a fantastic job. So I was just going to compliment Ellen again on her job, but I wasn't sure if she had worked on. But Casey, of course, Casey's been used in so many different productions. She's been working so hard in so many different things. I'm surprised, that she's able to do as much as she does.
And she works at Loyola now.
Yes, I know. So it's wonderful when you have that kind of talent and you can distribute it. So let me while we have a couple of moments, I wanted to show a couple of the photos that we had. And again, this is the Goten Road production of The Family Line, and here are some of those costumes on display. And you've got, was it Grace? You've got Lisa and trying to remember.
And Constance Thomas.
And that's Des, right? Constance Thomas.
That's right.
And this is taking place, I believe, in the bedroom of Teresa, right? Yeah, that's in her bedroom. And did you decide what rooms were going to be assigned to you, or because I know you're not in the upstairs; it's all the downstairs. So, did you decide what rooms were going to be what early on, or did you look at the house, after the fact?
Yes, we took several tours of the home, and we decided that for the type of story that we want, we initially tried to put this story inside the actual BK house, but it was just too. What's the word I'm looking for? Like fancy. Yeah, it was just too fancy. I was trying to use the big word that Chris used.
Yeah.
And so we kind of really gravitated toward the downstairs, the back area, and the carriage house, and the additions. It looked like it gave us the vibe or the mood that this particular play was, it spoke to us.
Right.
So we decided that, we picked out the 5 locations. We used the courtyard. We wanted a bar and grocery store. So we figured out a way to convert the carriage house and that extra room into a grocery and bar. Cassandra Erb did a phenomenal job doing that, because in the other homes and for the other shows, it was just little accent pieces that they had to throw in. But for the most part, we used the aesthetic of the museum. But this time we had to completely transform it so that it can give grocery store. So we can pull off a grocery look.
So I was talking about earlier, I don't know if you heard that I brought cognac in tonight, because cognac is a very important historical drink that was drunk in the French Quarter, and the Beauregard-Keys House being in the French Quarter, the Vieux Carré, was important. I thought, to make that connection. So I don't know, what did you bring in tonight?
I didn't bring in
tea.
All right, Richon, you got about 10 seconds to go get something to drink. Okay.
Here, I'll give you some of my water.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Tea works fine. Go get something to drink, because that's part. We don't allow anybody to stay in the room who doesn't come in with a drink. So, that's just the way it goes. I have kicked people out of the room before, and it's not funny. Okay, we're gonna go in here. This is on the outside now. Now that would be is that Joel Derby, who plays Vincenzo?
Joel Derby, yeah.
And he's there again. I think that's Des again, right? That's
Constance.
So now they're outside and they're discussing, I think, pretty much this strike that took place in 1892 in New Orleans. And maybe Dylan, you can fill me in. What is the basis of the strike? Why do they strike? What are they striking for?
There were a lot of different reasons, but I think in large part, from what I understand, from the history that I've gleaned, that has been showered upon me, the parts that I remember are that the wholesalers, who are basically like the big warehouse owners that were getting all of the shipments coming off of the river, that were the first receptacles, and that then would sell to the grocers to put onto their shelves. The wholesalers start inflating their prices and demanding more payment for items, and that's one big thing. Another, real estate or landlords was another reason that a lot of people struck. I guess I don't know if it was grocery land or like business landlords. So Sean might be able to speak on that.
Yeah. So
and I know you brought something in now. So what did you bring?
I brought some Hennessy White.
All right. Very good.
It'll just be a little shot.
All right, that's okay. That's right. Like I said, it doesn't have to be alcoholic. I do not promote alcohol drinking for those who are working their programs and things of that sort. But by the same token, the idea is this is a relaxed kind of a thing, and it literally is an icebreaker. And people, why do you insist on that? I said, really, it's just sort of an icebreaker to make people feel relaxed. If they want to have something to drink, they can. But it's just the whole idea is that everybody brings something together into. We're all doing the same thing, and therefore we have a connection. We can't connect through these, virtual sessions, but we can this way. We're all doing something at the same time. So that's what it's all about. It's not meant to be light and the levity is a little bit of something going on there, but that's not intended to make fun of anything here. So again, the family line, and you've got so many different times. This is the one thing that I went on the website to try to look at some of the tickets. Some shows are at 2, some shows are at 8, some shows are at 6. So, I know some are sold out because there are no
Well,
tickets available, right?
Yeah,
So,
we're
what
sold
shows are
out.
still able to be purchased at this time, or do you know?
I think we're sold out for the rest of the month.
Yeah, we're sold out until November 20th.
Yeah.
Really? So the
Yeah.
17th and 18th, though, you had two shows. You had a 6 o'clock show and an 8 o'clock show.
Yeah.
And you had seats for those. You don't anymore. You know, when I say seats, you don't really
They've-
sit.
they've been-
A little bit. There's some places to sit on benches, but for the most part, you're standing. Most people are standing.
That's right. It's already gone. Those spaces are they're
Wow.
just going like hotcakes.
So
yeah, we had
Are
a
you
couple
all
of
are you all
conferences in
extending the run
town.
at all, or
I think there's I
Yeah,
think there's word
they
of-
announced it the other night, and I was
So-
just told that, and I
so
was just told that we
please
can
tell
talk
me
about it. So yeah,
please
we've
tell
got
me
3 more weeks.
how long is it? 4 more weeks?
3 more weeks.
3 more weeks. That's fantastic. So
Check
all the way up to
website.
almost
I'm
almost
terrible
Christmas.
with dates, and I don't have it right in front of
That
me.
that's
but
okay.
Look on
But-
the website. There are 3 more
the
weeks of
website,
shows that will be.
and again,
up.
it's the Beauregard-Keys House. So it's what
Mhm.
bkhouse.org.
Yes. Yeah,
So-
bkhouse.org.
So just make sure I add that, and let's see if we can get that there. I think it's this way, right? bkhouse.org. So that's where you go get tickets. And let me tell you, if you've got and not necessarily for little kids, you know, but if you've got somebody who's a youngster who wants to really experience a little bit more of and I say youngster, like maybe middle school or high school age, a little bit about what it was like to live during the period in New Orleans. You really soak up that atmosphere, and you really feel that history and that culture of what it was like. And I mean, you all are very authentic in what you're doing. And again, I wasn't there at that time, but I really felt like I was, there observing history in the making. And again, I'm certain that like any other acting experience, there's a certain amount of latitude that we have that's not exactly the way things were, but it was pretty accurate. It was pretty close to what I would believe happened. And it's wonderful to see all those characters. You've got people who are Sicilian, you got people who are of color, and of course you've got other people who are involved that you're talking about, historical figures, etc. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to see that and experience it. I don't know that there's anything like this that we've ever seen before, other than perhaps what they used to do with some of the historical recreations of the Louisiana figures that they had, but they were individuals, or one or two might appear at an event. You might see, as an example, the Baroness Montalba, doing something and talking about something, on site at a particular event, but you would not see the Baroness Montalba and this one and that one, and they're all interacting. It was not like that. It was they were doing their
and in an old grocery store.
Right. I mean, it was amazing, So I'm so delighted that you all are doing this.
I kind of wanted to go back for that strike question.
Okay.
Again,
Yeah. Tell me from your perspective, what was it about?
Okay, so the Family Lines plot was inspired on like 2 pivotal events that happened in New Orleans in 1892, which was the general strike. That's when 30,000 New Orleans workers walked off the job to fight for shorter work days, increased pay, and a closed union shop. So in our show, the audience will witness the community of grocers decide whether or not to join the strike during the memorial of the beloved community member, who Pascal does a reveal about. So
right.
And I think the reason why we chose Italians and Creole, I mean, those were kind of like stories that we feel like kind of get glanced over, and we just wanted to highlight it a little bit and tell a story that was new and refreshing, one of like unity in the community. So and it was right at 1892 was like 1 year after the 11 Italians were lynched. So there was the Italian community was on edge. So we wanted to convey that in our show as well.
And the
And-
year
and-
after the Plessy incident, after
And
Homer Plessy was
Plessy.
taken off,
yes.
That's
1991.
So again, I just have to say that you know, you've got a lot going on. People who come into the show, first off, they come in to the Beauregard-Keys House. They're greeted by members of the production company, and they're given, as I mentioned, they're given the program, if you will. They also have an opportunity to pick up some of these character cards. And I've got Lisa Shattuck's card because I know Lisa and I appreciate her. But on the back, they've actually got stories about the characters that they're portraying, which is gives you even more depth to the characters than you might miss if you didn't listen carefully. You know, knowing that one of the characters is no longer with them. You know, it's stated on the card. You know, this takes place when and how long ago. You know, her son is mentioned in here, etc., and all of these different things. So the different characters, I really wanted to go ahead and show the cards that you all have here, if I can. And so this, let me just start off. This is again, I believe that's the Vincenzo, right? That's Joe Derby. And again, I don't have the information on the back cards. This is Teresa, as I mentioned, Lisa. And again,
Teresa.
you know, Teresa. And it tells you you're in the midst of Piccolo Palermo, a neighborhood where many Sicilians settled in the late 19th century. This home is owned by the Lanatas, who rent out the space. The Giaconis, one of those renters, have opened a grocery store here. So, you know, you really get a full flavor for that. Now, Pascal, we know who that is. Yeah. Now, did you grow the mustache, or was the mustache already there?
Yeah, it's, you know, it comes and goes for different things, but definitely I was going to say, I think that this might be my biggest contribution to the character. You should have seen it before. There was the first couple of weeks, it got so unruly. I said, Pascal has let himself go in a lot of ways. He's hit a little too heavy, and I realized, I need to not look like that in my regular life, and I had to cut it out of my mouth a couple of like half a week ago.
I tried a mustache once. It didn't work for me too well, but the problem is when you eat with a mustache, you end up keeping some of the food with you all
Soup
time.
strainer, terrible.
Yep. Now this is Natalia, right? Is that right?
Yes, Natalia.
And again, this is Grace, the actress Grace Kennedy, and again, she has a really interesting relationship with her mother. Of course, it would be Teresa. This is Casey Simpson. Of course, I've seen Casey on stage at UNO and elsewhere. He's been doing quite a number of different pieces. He seemed very at home with the company. Now, is he somebody who's worked with you all before, or what?
No, I brought him in from you. Well, actually, from UNO, I was able to grab some of my UNO comrades, and I was happy to do that. So,
well, I enjoy his work. He has a very I'd like to say relaxed style when he's on stage, if you know what I mean. It's like he imbues the characters, but you know, he's always very happy and pretty much happy-go-lucky. A little bit more serious in this particular role, but you would expect him to be. And let's see who else I have. This we mentioned Des earlier. She was on a couple of times, and we mentioned Constance Thompson. And where did she come from in terms of her work from before?
She was in The Uninvited.
That's
was she in The Uninvited?
She stepped in for
April Louise had stepped
okay, and we have April Louise too, as well.
Allie.
You know, and just fantastic work you all are doing, and I cannot speak more highly of historical drama about serious subject that we're addressing here, and also to see the historical characters of the Sicilians and the people of color all involved in conversation with one another and dealing with essentially life or death matters in this particular struggle that they have on the strike. And they mentioned several times that the Lanadas had taken over this particular Beauregard-Keys house and turned it into a tenement. Well, when you hear the word tenement, it has very negative connotations. And essentially what they tried to do was to cram as many people in and get rent from as many people as they could in order to, enrich themselves. And that does not mean necessarily that the conditions in which people were living, were grand in any way. It may be a grand house now, but it probably was not during the day.
Pascal has a line that he says, that he says like they have us packed in like sardines up there, and Christine, April Lee's character, says he added more rooms. Pascal says 2 more rooms. I sleep in a closet practically.
Right.
So they would just continue making these big houses into these tiny little places. So that's one of the biggest things that we wanted to address in this show too, is the fact that like only 2 people that ever lived in that house really ever get mentioned. And when in fact you've got dozens of other people for decades that lived in that place that have never really ever been mentioned. So we wanted to like bring some of those people onto the stage.
So as of right now, it's a sellout through the 20th. The show will be extended for people who can wait just a little bit longer. And one of our Facebook users, I think it's Paul Werner, said online tickets are not available yet. You may have to wait a day or 2 and try again. Paul, thank you for that information. But again, that's fantastic news that this will continue. The family line will not stop on November the 20th. It will continue for 3 more weeks and until what, I guess just before Christmas, huh? Is that about right?
Woohoo! Yeah.
So that's fantastic news. And again, you heard it here first. I love it. We have a coup. We have a scoop, so to speak. All right. I'm glad you were able to. I got permission from on high to let everybody know about that. But we're better than a show dedicated to New Orleans theater than to talk about New Orleans theater. So I appreciate all that you do. And Chris couldn't be here tonight, but Chris has been on the show before. I really appreciate his work. It's wonderful to see you all doing kind of, and again, I guess we should mention, some of the people who've helped you with this: the New Orleans Theater Association, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Rosa Mary Foundation, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, WWNO. I mean, I'm going to leave somebody out. Bold, something or other. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, NOTCF. All of these people have contributed so that you all can put these shows on, because these shows take time, they take energy, and they take money to put on. And we know full well that all of these people who are involved have given you their support, and they don't give that support lightly. So we do appreciate them helping out in all of the shows that go on. Always take a certain amount of money to put on, but when you're doing something this authentic and require a venue like you have, I just have to tell you that it's very important that we acknowledge everybody who helps you out. So again, Richon, everybody should know to stay vigilant that very soon tickets will be available for the next round of shows. Any chance this will go past the Christmas holidays if you still get the same kind of reaction?
If we get this, yeah. Well,
okay. I mean, the Beauregard-Keys House,
give the people what they want.
Obviously, there's got to be a closeout point when you start getting closer to Mardi Gras and things of that sort, where they're going to probably say, it's not feasible because of traffic being blocked off and people, et cetera, trying to get in, et cetera, et cetera. So, that might be problematic. But between now and then, hopefully there'll be enough of an outpouring of people and support that continue to do this. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Dylan for being here tonight with us. Richon, again, thank you for being here. Again, I hope everybody will take time out, if you've already done so, to go check out the Family Line playing at the Beauregard-Keys House. And for those of you who wonder, Keys is pronounced Keys, not Keys, but it looks like Beauregard-Keys, but it's Beauregard-Keys. And again, the place to get tickets is bkhouse.org. Again, this is the family line, and again, I hope everybody will check that out. It's time for me to tell everybody, if y'all stick around just a little bit, I'm gonna bring you right back and say goodnight, however, right now to everybody else. Again, my name is Alan Smason, and appreciate your being with me here. This is NOLA Theater Talk. We broadcast every Monday night to the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, to the YouTube channel that I have that you can check out by my name, etc., or to our theatercriticism.com Facebook page. We remind everybody that earlier tonight we had Anita Vatshell, and we just finished up with our representatives from the Goat in the Road productions of the Family Line. So if you're going to see the operating theater or you're going to see the Family Line, hopefully when you do, I'll see you at the theater.